Hello, folks. Red Labor again. To paraphrase, well, it's not paraphrasing. To quote Jello Biafra, the former lead singer of the Dead Kennedys, the man that does left-wing spoken word albums. He said once before, "Don't believe the media, become the media." And I think that's why forums like this is important. I'm not just a man with a little ego trying to be an armchair activist, spewing socialist ideological platitudes over the airwaves. What I'm trying to do is to be a part of a movement that's part of the alternative media, that will provide information that our corporately controlled media refuse to discuss. Yeah, I know the obvious, Fox News and talk radio. They're the obvious. And it's sad. They got a grip on people's, on the collective ears of American society. And, and so people go to Fox News and talk radio to get their news information, and that's really sad because Fox News and talk radio really dumps down the average American as far as I'm concerned. I don't mean that the average person that's conservative that listens to Fox News and talk radio are stupid per se, but what I'm saying is that it has a dumbing down effect. CNN is not really all that much of an improvement. As far as I'm concerned, CNN is a second fiddler to Fox News. They themselves will go and try to tear down a left-wing voice. And in 2008, in the Republican primaries, I saw for myself what Fox News did. They tried to shut out Congressman Ron Paul as much as they could and ignore him because they were bothered by him. But CNN weren't that much better. In fact, they did the same thing on the Democratic side. They did it, and even more so, they did everything they could to hide Dennis Kucinich's voice. They were embarrassed that Dennis Kucinich was there occasionally commenting, and they did everything they could to act like Dennis Kucinich was a non-factor. Well, and prior to that was done against Ralph Nader. They tried to act like Ralph Nader is never a factor on the news. So you never hear the mainstream media from the mid-1990s till 2008 really go out of their way to talk about Ralph Nader because, Ralph Nader, he rocks the boat in a way that Dennis Kucinich rocks the boat. And even though I am the furthest thing from a Republican conservative, to an extent, even though there's a lot of political, economic issues I disagreed with Congressman Ron Paul on, he rocks the boat. And when you rock the boat, the corporate consensus out there, the corporate consensus will do everything they can to ignore you. So the mainstream media, there is no liberal media out there. If there were, you'll be hearing about single payer during the healthcare debate instead of people softly talking about the public option, wishing that code went away. Unfortunately, it did. You would have instead of having, Senator Orrin Hatch or Joe Lieberman or Chuck Schumer or someone like that on the air to talk on these talk shows. You'll see more voices up there like U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders or Congressman Dennis Kucinich. But you really don't see those voices. And then some people think, well, the media obviously helped Barack Obama in the campaign in 2008. Whoever said that President Obama was a real leftist? I mean, to me, and I don't mind bragging that I'm so far to the left that I make Barack Obama look like Rush Limbaugh. Some people will be like, oh, you got to be kidding. You got to be kidding if you think Barack Obama is all that far to the left, folks. He's not. And, again, I argue with people, or not argue in the negative sense of the word, but I always voice my opinion very loudly for social progressive forces to form a viable labor party. Of course, what does that mean? That means that the mainstream media are going to either laugh at you or ignore you. But you got to do what you got to do. And so, anyway, when the media tries to, they don't want to talk about the fight of trade unions and ignore issues like the Employee Free Choice Act, which would do a whole lot to correct the brick wall, so to speak. There's a brick wall behind me that's really set against them with bullshit legislation going back several decades, like the Taft-Hartley Act and all this right-to-work garbage that exists, especially in the South. And and all this corporately managed trade that seems to be transpiring, and just this whole atmosphere of corporatism in America. You need to speak louder. When healthcare is discussed, you need to do what you can to tell people that private health insurance is a ripoff to the American people. It is a ripoff. This is why you need single-payer national health insurance. But people don't want to sit there and talk about, they don't want to sit there and talk about how successful the Canadian healthcare system is. All you ever hear are right-wing slants against it. Ask the average Canadian. They think it'll be a nightmare if we switch over to the American system. But you'll never hear that voice. In fact, if anything, when Michael Moore came out with his movie Sicko in 2007, what did Wolf Blitzer do? Wolf Blitzer sat there, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta both sat there, and they tore apart his movie. Michael Moore told the truth in the movie Sicko. And the so-called liberal media, which are not really all that liberal, they're, as I said, CNN are second fiddlers to Fox News. They sat there and they shredded Michael Moore's Sicko they just shredded it, trashed it. I expect such bullshit from Fox News. But the supposedly liberal media, come on now. And you never really hear about civil liberty issues, and all the progressive issues that exist out there. It's not sexy to the mainstream media. What is sexy to the mainstream media is corporatism. It is war and how to make corporate special interests wealthy, while talking about insignificant issues that really doesn't amount to anything, such as what you see on tabloids, and magazine stands. Anyway, don't believe the mainstream hype. Don't just believe what the media have to say. Become the media. Thank you. And comment, please.